on ahead?
So, I've just thought of something. So, hang on. I've just got to write a note for myself. So my other wins, other than the fact that I've got COVID, or that's a win. My other win is that I've been in dispute with VW about my new car and my new Amarok and a warranty claim on it for a few weeks. And on Friday, they buckled and agreed that they're talking out of their bottom and that they're going to go and honour the warranty. So that was a win for my last week. The win for the week coming is this Friday. I go to Zambia with my dad for 2 weeks. So that's a win. So he arrives. I haven't seen him for over a year, and he arrives on Wednesday evening to East London. And then my final win is I'm getting 30 leads a day for Kingdompreneur at the moment, just every single day. So 200 to 250 a week coming in. And that's a really, really cool win. Something I've been working really, really hard on. And I'm really pleased with that. So yeah.
That's amazing, Rob. Well done.
Thank you. So there we go. Cool. What about everybody else? What else? Eugene or Francois, what have you guys been winning at?
Oh, well, we've been quite busy on a flying front. Had quite a few missions coming through, and it was quite like the past 2-3 weeks. Especially on the weekends, I was helping out on a farm. So that was quite lekker to do something different and get some brownie points with the in-laws to be. And and as I say, just getting to grips with finished my line training last week as well on the Falcon. So that's also lekker. So that's done now, fully signed out and online. And enjoying quite enjoying that area. And although she did not feel like flying, she thought 2 flights in a day was enough on when was this, Sunday. And she had so we had she was a bit ill, so then we had to switch over to the Hawker, which I haven't flown in about 2-3 months. And fortunately that muscle memory came back pretty quickly, so it was like I could still fly the other aircraft as well. So that was good.
Nice. That's a Falcon 50 or Falcon?
Falcon 20.
Falcon 20 they've got there. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've got the 50 as well. But that's currently I'm on the Falcon 20 and then the Walker 800.
Nice. Working your way up. Brilliant. Well done, Eugene. That's a fantastic way. Francois, how about you? How's your week been? What have you won at?
We've really been doing well with the business. So really pleased, and we're just finding our feet again. I would say the silly season, when everybody just needs everything now or yesterday. And so we just trying with the rain. Maybe with rains, you get some time to do the admin. So that is a positive. And I had my children, my son and my daughter, and everybody here for supper. For lunch on Sunday. So that was very nice. That was a win. Long time that we haven't been together, and that was quite a nice win.
Vitally important is to keep that family unit strong. So well done, Francois. Very nice. Very nice. I had an amazing win as well. Last month or this month, October, was my best month ever again. So thank you, Francois, for being part of that and my success. And thank you, Eugene, as well. All my clients, all my book, everybody works together, to create that for me. So thank you very much. And I would say that a huge debt of gratitude is owed to my business coach, elite performance master, Rob Yates, without which I wouldn't have achieved the level of success that I have at all. So thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I've lost count of how many best months evers you've had since I've known you.
And there was that string of like 6 in a row, and then this year I've probably had 2 peaks, and then this last month was the biggest one, almost by a factor of about 60% extra. So like something's working.
Well, just in time for Christmas.
Just in time. In fact, the other big win we had, we got a 65-inch Samsung beautiful QLED TV, and that was on, and the Black Friday specials had already started, and so we got 50% off that as well. So we got a beautiful new TV in the lounge as well. Just a little bit of irresponsible spending ahead of time, but I thought a good way to reward me and my family for working hard at, because we all work together in this family. I can tell you that much. Laura's a vital part of the operation. She turns conversations that I have like this and with other clients into money, and I don't know how she does it. It's just magic. So
Well done, David. Well done, eh?
thank you, Francois. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
David,
Just
David, for the other guys on, you have had, and I'm just racking them up in my head, but probably 12 to 18 best months ever is in the past 4 or 5 years. Well, 3 or 4 years, actually. And you just did 60% better than what you'd ever done before.
Yeah.
What's the 1 or 2 things that you think that everybody should do, they're probably not doing, that allows you to have another best month ever? What are the secret sauce bits?
The secret sauce is, it's interesting. For me, the secret sauce is consistency. Like it's, I see JJ try to join us. Oh, there we go. JJ's there. All right. The secret sauce for me was, and that everybody should be doing, is, for me, this should come naturally, but basically for me, what changed it for me this year was every night I would put in an extra hour or 2. So do what I normally do during the day, but every night put in that extra hour or 2. Do something that moves the needle, even if it's by 1 kilometer up per hour extra, even if it's 1% that you change the outcome. Be more prepared for the next day. Be more, do something that just helps the rest of your week and the next day go smoother.
If I can say something there, David, also, I read a book a while back. I can't remember the name of the book, but the guy suggested, work 1 hour extra a day. So I try each morning to do an hour extra. So it doesn't sound much, but I mean 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month, basically. You get a lot of work done in that time. And your preparation, like you said, is much better. And it just helps you a lot.
When you think about that, you're doing a 4.5-week month now, where everybody else does a 4-week month, Francois. That means you're just, throughout the year, that means you're pushing in, what's that, half a week, 8. So you're putting in an extra 1.5 a year's worth of work, more than everybody else. Like the results will just speak for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you with that. And it just makes it made a lot of difference for me this last year. So really a privilege.
Yeah. Well done, Francois. Morning, JJ and France. Very nice. We were just sharing our wins, and the one win was that, the one I was busy with was just that I'd have my best month ever by a factor of about 60% better than I've ever done before. And Rob asked the question, is like, what's the one thing that moved the needle for me, or actually allowed me to be able to do that? And the answer was an extra hour or 2 every night. Like, no matter what we do, it's just to do that. And and like you say, Francois, that adds 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month. That's 2.5 days a month. And you times that by 12, that's an extra month that you've got, right? That you're moving the needle and producing and creating. It's amazing. So that, and the fact that I've also been quite a bit more disciplined, and certain health factors like stopping drinking and all those kinds of things all added up. to creating this reality for me. So yeah, thank you, and thanks to everyone here.
No worries. What about JJ and Franz? Do you guys have wins for the week? Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Well, my wins will probably take place during this week. Hopefully by the end of today, I would have signed up a new customer.
Yes.
And then I'm working, like nothing happens and then everything happens. I'm working on a second customer, which will probably sign up by the end of this week with a full and SLA. So that's exactly what we're needing. So yeah, lekker. And it's like you say, extra, put in extra time, yes, but preparation. Plan what you want to do, where you want to go, and how you want to make it happen.
1000%. A lot like aviation, actually.
Yeah, be ahead of the aircraft.
Do you know what I'm hearing with this new business? I'm just hearing Oshkosh 2026. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, the draw is in November, so maybe I go for free again. Who knows?
And you do get to the most fly-ins that I know.
I try.
Of anybody that I know, JJ.
On Saturday there was a fly-in at Panorama.
Oh, yes.
And the ex that saw me there, it's like, yes, JJ, you're at everyone. So, I'm not at everyone, but I try to be.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps aviation going. I mean, if there's no people attending, then what's the point? The weather was a bit crappy and all the bike lights that left very early because the wind was really pumping. Even the Jabby, you bumped around there, and I left about 2 o'clock-ish. So it was hot and busy up there.
Sure. Luckily, you didn't have your favorite passenger that has to bring his own bark bags with him. No.
He would have needed 2.
I would have needed 2.
Halfway and at the end.
Really?
For a 15-minute flip.
Nice one. Congrats, JJ. Beautiful. We're looking forward to those new clients being signed up. And I'm also hearing lovely new things for you. New TVs and all that kind of stuff. I'm excited.
More time at the airfield.
More time, exactly. More avgas to be burnt.
That's it.
Oh, very nice. Frans, hoe lyk dinge daar? How was your week and what's your win?
Hey guys, hello everyone. So taking a bit of time with the girls in Kruger this week. I think that's quite fun. Something a bit different. And wins and like a big setback. So it's kind of nice. I've semi-proven that I can almost work from anywhere now. The 2 clients in the last 2 days being on holiday, so that's not too bad. And big setback because I feel like we need to be maybe careful of not just only sharing the wins, but also kind of learning from the setbacks and the mistakes, right? So we had quite a big setback in the last week with a big what's it like, underwriter, reinsurer, hey Dave, that we were going to have this really cool international product, and I put 3 weeks, 4 weeks worth of work, which maybe doesn't sound like much, but it's not really 3 or 4 weeks worth of work. It's like 15 years worth of condensed stuff, which gets you to do it in 3 or 4 weeks. That was basically obliterated when that 99.9, the guys are like, yeah, you know what, actually we're not going to do business with you because some other contract they've got in South Africa says there might be some conflict of interest there, which we know isn't true. There's no conflict of interest. So that was quite a big setback. So like back to the drawing board on the international product and found other guys that are keen to do it, but they can only meet us end of November, which sucks because I've got like 2 airlines kind of chomping on the bit now looking for a solution, and which I thought I had, which I need to make again from scratch. So yeah, the blows also come with the victories, but luckily we're older and grayer and we roll with the punches better. We no longer sit in the casino bar with a bottle of rum. So progress.
What? Now it's not rum, it's single malt now.
Yeah. I just go to the factory and sit there, but
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's always a silver lining in these kinds of things, as I'm sure we've always found, like the fact that we can't do it the way we envision doing it now and that we wanted to do it. There's always another solution. There's always something, a new door that's going to open. So yeah, like you say, share the setback, but understand and know that there's a lesson in it all, I'm sure. Nice one. Just reminding everybody that this is the 33rd session of the Aviation Wealth Club, and it's the 23rd. It's not the 23rd of October at all. It's the 28th, right? 28th of October. So we'll just move forward in time by 5 days. Don't worry, guys. And
Isn't this what being a kid's all about? Hey, Dave, sorry to interrupt you, but this is too special not to share. Breakfast time, clothes on in the pool.
It's the best.
Love it.
The absolute best.
Love it.
So, and just reminding everybody that your value stack at the Aviation Wealth Club is 380,000 Rand per year, and actually works out to a 1,580% return just by joining the Aviation Wealth Club and showing up here every week. So congratulations to you guys and for doing your business this favor. It's really something that people don't realize is possible, and what's available to us out there in terms of communities that you can just join and speak to like-minded people and do this for yourselves. So well done on being here. We've already shared our wins. We've got some updates on the events coming up. Rolling quickly into the end of the year here, we've got our Cape Town Safety Symposium on the 6th of November. That's also getting very close. We're 9 days away, and everything is looking really good. Everything is lined up beautifully. We've got some supercars joining us in the hangar for the event. We've got some very nice helicopters, very nice jets, all in a dinner set, all surrounding a dinner setting with some amazing speakers and some amazing presentations that we're going to hear about safety and inspiration. And I just really think it's going to be a flippin' amazing day. We've managed to secure 2 new sponsors as well. So things are looking really good for that. And then we're rolling for the 2nd of December as well at the Wonderworm Safety Symposium. Eugene and everybody in this room, in fact, is not just cordially invited, but mandated to be at the Wonderworm Safety Symposium. I think this one being the 3rd annual one is really, I'm aiming to shoot the lights out completely with that event. So blowing everybody's hair back. We look forward to seeing you all there today. And then just a very quick reminder is that all Aviation Wealth Club members get a 50% discount on the sponsorship packages that we've got. I suppose I should show the sponsorship packages, what they look like on here, but I'll share them with everybody a bit later. Okay. All right. Why did you show up today? Tell us, JJ.
Well, Rob said that there's a crap load of stuff that we're going to learn, so we have to be here. You know?
Absolutely, you have to be here. There's no other choice. We've mandated it for everybody to be here. Beautiful. Eugene, it's good to see you back. I know you were away busy with training in the US and flying to Luanda and saving lives, but tell us very quickly why you keep showing up and being a part of this Aviation Wealth Club.
It's part of our friendship agreement.
100%. So yeah, we will cancel all friendship if you leave. So yeah, it's great. That's great. Beautiful. So yeah, you do. It is a voluntary thing for some people, but obviously we we do mandate some people to be here. And then just a reminder, renewals of everybody's memberships are coming up next year. So let's all, I need to book time with all of you individually and then chat about next year and see how we're going to take things forward and really help grow and not just the Aviation Wealth Club, but all of ourselves and our businesses within this framework. All right. So Rob, you were saying today is a question and answer session rather than just you standing up on your soapbox and waffling. So Maybe you want to just introduce what the question and answer session is going to look like and how the format is going to be.
Yes, I just thought, David, that you and I've guesstimated what we thought would be really interesting or be really important for a whole bunch of sessions, well, 33 of them, to be honest. But I was also conscious that we haven't created a space just to have a find out what's burning a hole in people's heads. What are they curious about? What do they want to know about? And so today, it's just the opportunity to ask your question. David or I might not have the answer, but between us, I'm sure we do. And if all else fails, maybe ChatGPT does. There's a reality for our 2025 world. So I just want to know, like, I popped a voice note in the group. What would you like to explore? What would you like to know more about? Or what would you just like a different opinion about, so that you get a broader perspective on something? Or what are you wrestling with right now that you'd like to resolve? And so, David, the floor is everybody's. But I have whilst you're thinking about your question, I have a thing that I found yesterday that I thought would be really interesting to share with you all. So I've got a client, his name's Rudolph Quinn, and he owns a software company called QuinnPay. And he's got the now largest, he's the largest provider of software to the micro lending industry in sub-Saharan Africa. And in 3 years, with his credit card and no investors, he's built a software platform that's now got 3,500 monthly subscribers on it, who use his software every month. And we've been playing with ironing out his data more for him in terms of his marketing. And we've known for a long time that his yearly return on advertising spend was, or is, 17.2 Rand. For every 1 Rand spent on marketing, you get 17.2 Rand back out again. And so that's a nice metric to know. What we were interested in is where does the money actually come from? Like, we know it comes from people, but there's a gap between people and when do they buy from him, and when's that? How does it work? And so over the past few weeks, we've been playing with a few things, and his marketing looks very much like do organic social media content, run adverts that are paid for, get people off the advert to attend a webinar, and then make people an offer to purchase within the webinar. And then if they don't purchase, put them in a nurturing cycle for 48 weeks, where they get 2 emails a week for 48 weeks. That's his cycle that we've built out, that's getting that 17.2 Rand for every 1 Rand put in. We knew always that about 2 point something, almost 3% of people that attend the webinar buy on the webinar. So we got that tick in the box. What we've been finding out is that over the past 12 months, 60% of webinar attendees buy somewhere in that email nurturing cycle, 2 emails a week for 48 weeks. 60% of attendees buy between week 21 and week 24. 60%. So we've tried over the past 4 weeks, seeing if we could shorten it. Could we, like, what's the essence? Can we condense it into 8 weeks or 6 weeks, or what can we do? And every time we've tried to shorten it, we've screwed it up, and the outcome is measurably worse. And so we're now back at leaving it at week 21 to 24. And what I've been playing with in my mind since we've been running these numbers over the past few weeks is people take a lot longer to buy than we realize, and we often drop people far too soon. And I think, David, I asked you the question about what's the secret for yours, like the 60% more. It's actually about sticking with people for the 6 months it takes them to buy. Because I think quite often we get not frustrated, but we say somebody's not going to buy. It was interesting as Rudolph and I were playing yesterday in our conversation. We both bought new vehicles this year. And from the first, I want to get this new car, I'm making an inquiry, to actually getting the new car, for me took 17 weeks and for him took 16 weeks. And I think for most of us, it's the same. And so the thing I'd like you all to play with is, whether it's within this session or going forwards, is what am I doing to consistently follow up and show love to those people long enough to give them enough comfort to actually do the buying thing? And how am I doing it by design? Maybe that extra hour a day that Francois mentioned could be all focused on the follow-up, the follow-up, the follow-up, the follow-up, in the knowledge that a lot of people take anywhere from, a few weeks to a few months, in some circumstances to over a year to buy from us. What are we doing to keep showing love? So that was just an observation from Rudolph's business, that frankly has become a money printing machine. So we just need to find more units of one to go and put into one end to get out the other end.
To get the 17 out the other end. Brilliant.
That's it. So yeah, it will reach a cap at some point in time, but it hasn't reached one yet. So there we go. So that's my opening observation and waffle. And I guess what questions, guys, have you got? What would you like to know more about from either David or myself, or anybody else in the room?
Yeah, I would say, we've talked about a client service and everything. So I think maybe two things that come to mind for me is, you've done the hard work, you got the client. And then the service after that to the client is very important. And I do service the client, but maybe just, throw the question there. What is, I go and see the clients regularly. We do videos from time to time. Is there anything else that you can do? Maybe that's the one question. And then the other question I was just on top of my head is, okay, we, after a few years, we made a few bucks. So what do we do with the money that you make? What is the best thing to do? Because you work hard for the money, and maybe you've got some money together. So what do you do with it? How do you invest it? Or where do you go? What do you do? What is the best? Maybe in taxable, something that you can deduct tax, or what is the best thing to do?
I'll start with the client retention bit, and the answer is it depends. But I think we've got to be aware that that we need to make sure that the dating experience beyond the wedding day is as good as the dating experience before the wedding day was. And that is maybe, Francois, coming up with, as opposed to on occasions I do, coming up with your plan of throughout the year. I see every client 4 times, or whatever it may well be. I phone them this many times. I make a point of remembering their kids' birthdays and their dog's name and so on and so forth. I invite them to things that places I'm like, you don't have to pay for your clients, but I'm going to be at Nampu on these days. Come join me for lunch. But you don't have to fork out. It's just the invitation to come and participate for things with you. And I think planning out, we will, when I get back from Zambia, I want us to look into 2026, but planning out that client experience of how I'm going to do it, I think is probably the starting point. It's probably the starting point. David, what about yourself?
The key phrase is by design, but the key action is nurture. Those are the two words that really stood out for me, what you're doing. And that nurturing cycle pre the wedding or pre the client becoming pre the prospect becoming a client has to be well thought out and understood and consistent. And then once the prospect becomes a client, then afterwards there's another nurture cycle. And it's funny you use the wedding analogy, is that people forget to, this is why a lot of marriages don't work, is that people forget to keep dating your wife, keep dating, keep it saucy, keep it inspirational, and keep it spontaneous, the way you were before. And yes, life changes and those things all get difficult, but it's exactly the same as once a client becomes a client. What do you do with that person then? Do you just, okay, cool, now they're just on the books, and hopefully every now and then we go and see them, and as a financial advisor I send them the obligatory annual email. It's so much more than that. I think it's just the key there is to nurture, keep dating, and do it in a structured way so that you get to as many people and you can nurture as many clients as possible in the right way. And I mean, there's a couple of ways of doing that. There's, like you say, Rob, going to, inviting them to events where you're going to be at, creating events for them. The other one would be, just written voice, written email once or twice a week or once or twice a month, and even just a voice note once a week to your clients, or even once a month. Take if you've got, like us, we've got a couple hundred, probably over 1,000 clients by now, but if we had to spend 2 days just doing voice notes to every single client once a month, I think that would yield some really amazing results. Just an inspirational, how's it going?
I think a multi-pronged approach, David, is what you're referring to, is the in-person, the voice note, the ad hoc, the email, the event, the join us, the I'll come to you, you come to me, a multi-pronged thing. One of the things, and I don't want to, I don't like to be that negative, but it's worth bearing in mind there's other people who do what all of us do, who can be more charming than us in the trying to acquire a new customer phase. And so our clients are vulnerable to a more charming salesman arriving and dating the living daylights off them and then making them a cheap offer, and because we haven't been present enough in our client's life. And so that out of sight, out of mind is probably the most important phrase we can hold on to, is if they're always thinking about us favorably, they're likely to be a very secure client. And favorably also involves variety, because we all get, if we just do voice notes or just emails or just face-to-face, it becomes quite monotonous. And so varying it becomes really, really useful. Francois, there's some thoughts for you to play with. I want to move on to do with the money. What should I do with the money? The first thing I want to say is go celebrate yourself for having some money to do something with. Right? That's the very first thing. Is if you've got some money to do something with, go celebrate yourself.
Buy a new car.
Yeah, buy a new car.
Buy a supercar. Buy a Ferrari.
or in David's case, a 65-inch Samsung TV. But so the first thing is, like, congratulate yourself, because there's not many people that have got money to actually do things with in today's age. Most people have spent it before they've made it. So I think that's something. David will tell you more about investment platforms and tax-free and tax-efficient and so on and so forth. But I do think that the answer depends upon the season you're in your life, in terms of what would be right to do. And It depends upon how much money you have. And I also want to say that if you've got a business that you can do the maths behind, like Rudolph Quinn has, who I mentioned earlier, 17.2 Rand out for every 1 Rand in, and he can spin that monthly. You would be crazy to put your money anywhere other than into your business. Right? Absolutely, you'd be a lunatic to put it in anything other than that. Is it going to cause future taxable problems for yourself? Yes, because you're growing your money that fast. But most businesses go through peaks and troughs. And whilst the business is moving through a peak or towards a peak like Rudolph's is now, you've got to ride the peak of the wave and then know your numbers. When he drops down to like 13 or 14 or 10, 10 out for every 1 Rand in, he needs to come back and then have a more sensible conversation with a David or a Franz about, where do I put this money? Investing in property, investing in whatever portfolio it may well be, so on and so forth. But the most wealth on planet Earth is made through businesses. In fact, not most, all wealth on planet Earth is made through businesses. Almost all wealth that's made not through business is called gambling. But we also need to know our business well enough to know whether our business is on a growth cycle or on a dip. And if it's on a dip, maybe you don't want to be plowing everything in there. Maybe safeguarding your wealth is a really good thing to do, and spend some money to get yourself out. But put it back in your business and grow your business. Make your business into something that's got a share value that you can sell those shares partially or fully at a point in time, and create a new tax problem for yourself. That would be the, I guess what I'm also saying ultimately is you need to give your money to David or Frank.
Yeah, once there's enough of it.
Interesting. A while back, I can't remember precisely how long back, I saw the advert of Rudolph. So I've contacted him and he sent it me, but I just realized that stick to your guns, stick to your field that you're in. You can't, it's great for him. I'm very glad for him, but you can't do like me, chemical seed, and then try that. That's way out of my field. So that's just one thing that I realized over time, as somebody that is in marketing, I like new ideas, but I've realized through time there's a lot of ideas that cost me a lot of money, and then stick with the things and be the best at that.
I think, and if I'm right, Francois, that question about what do we do with the money comes from, and I've seen so many people say it, and they buy a second property as an investment property, and they end up losing money on that kind of thing. So people always think, yeah, I'm just going to buy property because property works. Donald Trump can do it, so I can. Property is the easiest thing in the world to make money on, and I think there's a few people in this room that will tell you otherwise. Am I right?
And that is precisely right. Here's your first man.
Eugene?
I think, David, we don't understand the game that Donald Trump, for instance, or if I've got a few properties. I know a few other people have got quite a few properties. Yeah. I don't think that we understand the financial game that they play. So, and I think that's the property conversation, is we're playing the wrong game. Mm. So I've got a client at the moment who's bought a property in the knowledge they'll make a 5% loss on it in the next 2 years. But that 5% loss is a lot better than the corporation tax and the personal income tax and whatever else they'd have to pay SARS.
Yeah, that's 5% versus 45%. Yeah,
that's it. And so he's buying the property to be tax efficient, not to make a profit. And I think many of us buy property to try and avoid tax and make a profit. And I think that's significantly harder.
Yeah.
Mm.
France, you had input. Tell us.
Property is all about leveraging and gearing. That's all. And I've got a really nice. We're just talking about property. I mean, there's lots of other ways, but I just want to. There's like a tool I made, like this really great property calculator thing. That is, if you play with it, just remember it is built with like an optimistic viewpoint, but you can change the inputs on it. But I mean, property has now become like a bit of a boring asset class with a, you have to have like a 7, 8, 9 year viewpoint for it. So it's almost like little money, gear it, and buy it in the right area. Like that's the only thing. So the property is like it's just the most simplest form.
Mm.
Eugene, tell us a little bit about your property buying experience.
The buying part is fun, and when it works, it's good fun. And when it doesn't work as planned, it causes a few sleepless nights.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many facets to property, and people don't realize. People look at a unit trust. People outside the financial industry, and they look at a unit trust and it looks complicated. There's all these numbers and there's all these different businesses, and how does it actually work, and who does the money go to? And it's a very difficult thing to wrap your head around if you haven't been dealing with it for ages and ages, like France and I have. But there's a lot of variables into what makes a unit trust actually work and grow. Okay. And then people look at a property and they're like, no, man, it must be simple. It's just a house, or it's just a flat, or it's just a building. And we've seen how properties go up because I own one and my property value went up over the last 10 years. And it's easy. You put a tenant in and they pay you a rental income. That's exactly how a unit trust works. And there's exactly the same amount of other variables going into what affects your cash flows and your value and all those things of property as there are in a unit trust. In fact, there's probably more. And there's other costs that come into it. There's other schleps. There's other risks of damage and bad tenants and all this kind of stuff. But there's as many variables in just buying one property and putting a rental tenant in there as there is going into a unit trust. And I can tell you, a unit trust is almost like buying a rented or a managed. A unit trust is the same as buying a managed property that just works on its own and it has its own cash flows, and the maintenance is done for you and you don't have to ever look at it again. Whereas a property, I think Eugene will testify that it's completely the opposite. Your own investment property, you've got to be fixing toilets, painting, cutting the grass, renovating, all those kinds of things. And then still there's more variables that come into it that you can't see.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And actually want to say from my point of view is every now and then, I still struggle, and that's why I've been playing with all of them. I still struggle to understand how the stock market works, how freaking our unit trusts work, how crypto works, how property works. And one of my reasons for going into property was it's a physical asset that I can see and feel and touch. And I enjoy going through the process of renovating it, etc. As much as a headache as that it can be, it's also something that I'm good at and I enjoy doing. Working with my hands and seeing how it goes from fixing it up, etc., etc. So that's also the other aspect of it, and knowing that it's a physical asset that's there. But you can see and touch. It's not a case of, now we've got a few strong banks, but thinking back to when Sambo Bank went under, for argument's sake, it was all your cash is there, now suddenly you've got nothing left. Whereas if things go horribly wrong, it's at least an asset that you have. So that's just another way to look at it. But on the flip side of that is it would have been a way less, considering all the The cash that you have to put in to register the thing and get it on your name, all of that is not necessarily from the get-go a positive cash flow as it would have been with a unit trust. And then, yeah, so my dealings with all of these things has basically also been trying to pick the brains of people who've done this before and who know what's going on. So for arguments like that's where you guys come in on a financial side. And I've got a pretty good realtor. Well, in my opinion, it's a good realtor, because she actually turned me down quite a few times on the things that I was looking at. And apart from that, just the way that she, for argument's sake, she does a thing where that's called assisted private rental. So she'll sell you the property, get a tenant for you, vet the tenant, help you set up the contract, and then you're on your own. She doesn't take a monthly percentage from it, or anything to that effect. So hence also one of the reasons why I valued her opinion when we were looking at properties, etc. So she'll say, listen, in this region, don't buy there. It's not going to work for what you want to do, etc. Yeah. So long story short, it comes down to speaking to various people and yeah, taking their advice and you're building up from there. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Look, I think, and I mean, buying properties is a long debate that we can have, and it works in certain circumstances and with certain volumes, and it's a leverage game, like Frans was saying, and so maybe there's a whole session or two in that, and
Dave,
see the finances behind it and the cash flows and how to actually make it work.
Dave, if I'm going to interrupt you, I think like this is a kind of, throw a dartboard at the dart. The best way to do this is to actually have like avatar, right? So I think maybe a good idea is, and you and I can chat about it more, but we can do a session and use an avatar and say, look, here's a guy who's 45 years old, who's got 2 million rand cash. He's got this business, business makes this, whatever, and it's like make this scenario. And then we can play out one or two or three different paths for everyone to see, because it's a very unique thing. I mean, the first thing is like, what's the goals here, right? Like, what's the vision? Like where we're going? Like, it's not simply a case of I got money, what must I do with it? Like, that's fucking, that's a terrible way to start.
We've already decided we're buying it for so
that's it. It's like okay, you've got this money, fantastic, like great, you've done something right. Okay, cool. Now the next step is the hardest part. Like, trust me, the easiest part is making the money. The hardest part is keeping it, having it grow, that's fucking way harder than making the money. So you can only do that if you start like at the beginning. And for most people, I think it's like the why, it's like, why are you doing all of this? Like, why are you sacrificing? Why are you putting the time into the business? Why all the sleepless nights? Why all the flipping overdrafts over the years? Like, why all the stress? Like, why did you do this? Like, what's the end goal? Like, I call it an exit strategy, because everyone needs an exit strategy. Like, if the exit strategy is in 5 years, or when you're 65, whatever that is, like, what does that look like? What's the exit strategy? And then once you've got that and you figure out what you want to get out of this, then it's pretty simple to reverse engineer it, because you've got timelines, you've got goals, you've got like targets. You need to you have a pathway for this money to go. And only once you've that can you make any decisions. If you're going to make any decisions without that, you are going to make bad decisions.
Frans, just to add, I like what you're talking about, because my question really is, I'm 51, so I want to work till 65, and maybe each year you've got something that you can put away or whatever. So what are you going to live on from 65 to 80? I mean, that is the question that I have here. So
I've got bad news, Hunter. You're going to live
older than 80. Stop working, but some place you must decide. I mean, what are you going to do, and how is it going to play out for you? And do it as good and as safe as possible. The money that you've earned.
What you'll find, Francha, is if you think Like you're at the sweet spot of your life. I'm gonna tell you two things. I'm gonna tell you very good news and very bad news. The very good news is you're at the best spot of your life right now. Like this is it. This is where you're making money. This is where you accumulate. This is where you put your head down. This is where, thinking, 10 years ago, the idea of having 50 million rand was crazy. Now it's like, you can do it. So no problem, right? You're at that stage of your life. The bad news is you're going to live older than 80. You're going to be older than that. You're not going to die at 80. You're probably going to die at like 90. It's bad news because you need more money than you think you need. And that's why it's important to like you've already got these questions, I'd say sit on it by yourself. Think of what the goal and the dream is. Discuss it with your wife if you've got that kind of relationship. Like get everyone like involved in like the end goal. And then once you've got that end goal, because no one needs to help you with that. That's a highly personalized thing. And once you got the end goal, then you're like, fuck David, okay, I'm ready to do something. Dave can let me know. We do a 45-minute session. We talk around it. Dave goes back, looks at all the options, he does a hell of a lot of work around it. And then gives you those 2 or 3 scenarios, like I was talking about, like, using the avatar. But that's nice because we can use you as the actual real life avatar and merge like those goals and dreams and hopes and all these, like all the things that makes life beautiful. And we can reverse engineer it just with like all the different, it's like a puzzle. Like it's almost gamification a little bit. And I think what a lot of people miss out on as well is if they don't have that, those like goals, it becomes very boring and mundane, and like even the process sucks because you can't see it growing relative to your end goal. Right? But if you can see it growing relative to your end goal, it also feels like you're achieving something. It feels like you're growing, which actually then motivates you to do more, work harder, be better at your business, be smarter, invest more. So it's like, anyway, Franja, you like at the prime, man, like this, you're actually at the best spot right now, but try and enjoy it.
Love it. JJ?
Yeah, well, yes.
I did a calculation and a bit of an exercise for you, and I showed you like a projection of what your income in retirement is going to be if we didn't change anything.
Yes.
And then we made some tweaks and changed the portfolios and put the money into certain types of funds and different structures. And tell me what happened. What did I do for you?
So this is going to sound like a what's that ad? Insurance ad on TV. How much did you save?
Very well.
But wait, there's more.
So we saved about 4,000 Rand a month, just by changing things, and with making those changes, it increased and added covers that were missing. So stuff like if anything happens with me, what happens to the business and so forth. And what I was in before was very old stuff. So you would be paying a hell of a lot of premium and not getting much for it. So that's where the value comes in by reassessing these things yearly or every 2 years at least. And then I said to you, well, it's great that I've got this saving, but I'm used to spending this money already. So what can we do to add more by utilizing what I was spending before? And then the numbers just shot up. And so that's why I'm able to go and spend so much time at the airfield.
Absolutely. So I helped save a lot of money on the cover, and then also invest more towards retirement. And even without investing more into retirement, the changes that we did make actually boosted the in retirement income by I think a good 20%. Just by looking at that as well. So I mean, it's an ongoing process that we have to do. We have to keep checking. Was the best strategy at the time? Is it still the best possible strategy? Is there a new product that could maybe make it even better? That's the review process that we have to go through. And I think that's plays into what we were talking about earlier, is that nurturing process with the client as well. So just a side note. JJ?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one of the things that I had on my policy before was something that I don't need anymore, and I would have just carried on with it. It was something to the effect of, if anything happens to me, my kids can go and study anywhere in the world. Great idea when they were much younger, but we're not going to use that anymore. And just that function was costing me something like 3,000 Rand a month, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then we decided we don't need it. We're not going to use it where the kids are now, and we're looking at where they are going and what they would need if anything is to happen to me. And we then just reinvented the way in which we would be using that 3,000 bucks. So hopefully I can retire now. What did I say to you at 50? Just before I go to the next Oshkosh.
Yeah, exactly. So retire by the 1st of November.
How's that? And it's important to try and understand those things. So, like in the property field, I'm not a property guy. I'm not a car guy, those type of things. So that's why you've got people that specialize in those things. Even for your taxes and those type of things, you can go and do it yourself, but you're not going to do it as efficiently. And it's the same as what I talk to my customers. In the IT industry, the financial director tends to end up being the oak in charge of IT. And the reason for that is, you had some IT programming or Excel course at varsity, and therefore you understand IT. But he's not the right guy to manage it and run it necessarily. Maybe manage, but not to run for sure. So, and that's what we then talk to our customers. So, well, we specialize in this. We do this every day. It's the same reason why I don't go and just willy-nilly work on my own airplane. I don't work on engines every day. I don't know what the pitfalls could be. I take it to an expert that does this every day. And that's why we say to customers, use our IT expertise, because we do this every day. If there's a change in the market, if there's a new trend, if there's a pitfall or something to be aware of, we would probably know about it because we deal with this every day. David works with financial stuff every single day. He receives emails, communications, he goes on courses, attends meetings, those type of stuff, which we have no clue what's going on in those things. So for him to assess what he needs to do for your requirements is much quicker and easier than for us to trying to, for instance, you mentioned earlier on trying to figure out how Bitcoin works and how the market works and go and play the market. It's going to take me way too long. And my hourly fee is way too expensive to go and try and utilize the time for that. What I tend to do, just sort of touching on what you guys were saying earlier on, if I've got any extra money, it goes straight into the business. Long time ago, I've realized instead of trying to go and invest it in something that's going to give you a 5 or a 10 or whatever percentage return, it's better for me to put the money back into the business and scale the business that way, use the funds there. And that's going to give me a much larger return at the end of the day than what any of the other systems that are out there can do.
You could put it into the S&P 500 and earn 12% per year, or you can put it in the S&Me 500, that's you, in your business, and get 120% per year.
Yeah, but in saying that, you've got to have a plan. Don't just say, okay, well, leave it in my account, because if it stays in your account and it's doing nothing, it's only giving you whatever the current rate is at the moment. So the S&P is giving you more, and your checking account's giving you a lot less anyway. So put a plan together and decide, what am I wanting to do?
Sponsor some safety symposiums, get some really good traction
exactly.
by good marketing out there.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put money away.
So sure. If you find it like selling seed and you're only dealing with these customers, what about branching out to another area? So get a youngster that can keep the ball rolling and go and start another area or something to that effect. For me, for instance, look at branching out to Cape Town or Durban or whatever it might be.
Like it.
But in all of that, I think it's also important to make sure that there's business continuity. So one of the things that I started doing yesterday, I had a couple of minutes, and it's month end, you need to do payments. And I thought, but I know which payments need to be made every month, but no one else does. So let me start making a list, so that if it happens that I'm not available over a month end, then it's easy for someone else to say, okay, well, this is what needs to be, this is who needs to be contacted, look out for this, look out for that. Apart from the normal VAT and PAYE and those type of things.
Correct. I love it. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
yes,
So,
go for it.
so on business continuity, with having our own business, what do we do when it comes to anything happening with me? So my wife's working with me in the business. What's the impact of making her a shareholder? Is that good enough? Or how would I ensure that she can have the right rights to continue in the business if I'm out for a month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the case?
It's more of a key person type role that you need to, and I'm using the word insure, but I'm actually using more the word insure about, insure for, to make sure that the processes are in place, that if you're not there for a short time or a even extended time, that there's someone that can just quickly pick up the reins, immediately pick up the reins and seamlessly carry on. That's a process. That's something we need to, it's almost like a manual. You need to develop a business, a personal systems business manual of, this is the protocol, like this is the checklist, this is what happens. If I'm not here, this person steps into this role, this person does this person does this, and these are the payments that need to be made. And phone David and Rob to figure out what the next steps are in our business and where our money must go.
I'd think about it as a 4 or 8 week window, and then something about a plan, and then a plan beyond the 8 weeks as another plan. Because my experience is that we need, if whatever else you end up unconscious in hospital for a few weeks, somebody needs to be able to access the bank account, somebody needs to know what payments to make, somebody needs to know the customers, so on and so forth. There's that bit. There's then the insurance part of you being in hospital, obviously, that needs insuring about. But there's then what's the plan for the business if you can't return to the business after, say, that 4 or 8 weeks? Is there a buy-sell agreement in place that's insured against to sell to the competitors, as Fran says? How does your will look with regards to, and how does the business, David, can you do a will for a business as an entity in terms of passing on the shares or ownership in the event of somebody passing on? You're muted, mate, sorry.
A will for a business is a buy and sell agreement. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
So the answer is really, like you're saying, do like an 8 week type of thing to have the business continuity, and sort of buy time to get the next step into place.
That's right.
If after 4 weeks you, as the business owner, can't sign into your online banking, in business terms, you may well have passed away. If after 4 weeks, because if in a 4 week window, the people in the office can kind of, like, the bank doesn't need to know and SARS doesn't need to know, and there's nothing that really needs to be signed, and it can kind of move onwards. But after about 4 weeks, suddenly, signatures are needed, and you're needed for something, right? Even if it's just lying in a hospital bed, signing on the dotted line, you're still needed for something. And so most of our businesses have a much shorter lifespan without us in it than we realize, even with the best processes in place. And so I think that 8 weeks, an 8 week plan or a 4 week plan, and then a what happens after 8 weeks. After 8, if you haven't been in your business for 8 weeks in any way, and you're unable even to access your online banking or sign on a form, your business is in a very, very different circumstance, and probably you no longer need to be the owner of your business in a way. Yeah, or the managing director of your business in any way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there needs to be and that's a tricky thing, especially for sort of a family business, or there's no other business partners and all that kind of stuff. It's like you need to find what's called a willing buyer, and then the funding for that willing buyer. And that might mean, as France's message says here, it might even mean competitors, which then puts a target on your back, because you don't know, especially if you're doing business in Joburg, you don't know who you're dealing with is going to order a hit on you and take over your business. No, but that is the thing. You need to find a willing buyer. If it's not a business partner or a family member, it may have to be a competitor.
Okay, thank you.
But JJ, that is something that we can have a good discussion about and draw up a little plan together. I'm very available and happy to do that with you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Ooh.
I quite like the way this question and answer session went. It definitely took on a form of its own. So thanks, Rob, for introducing that format for us today.
I think we might do it monthly.
Yeah, for sure. I think it sparks new conversations that we don't ordinarily do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Folks,
Final-
I need to disappear, David. I'm sorry. I've got to go and sort a car out.
Good luck. Cheers, Rob. Have a good one.
Thank you, folks. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Suppose that wraps it up for all of us. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Final thoughts very quickly. JJ?
Thinking. We're men. We don't have words so quickly,
Yeah. Eugene and Francois, what stood out for you in the session? Not all at once.
They're trying to find the unmute button.
Yeah.
Yeah, amongst others, and trying to order my thoughts.
Was it helpful, is the question.
Yeah, every little bit helps, and puts a different perspective on things. Yeah.
Very nice. Francois, how about you?
Yeah, I would say, on my first question, definitely, there was a few stuff that I can use in my business. And then also, we talked a lot about, my other question, and that was quite insightful. So, I think I liked what Franz suggested, and maybe, me and you have also talked a little bit about it. So we need to get a meeting on that and see what your plan is, and go from there, work your plan.
100%. Let's schedule that. I'll contact you offline, and then we'll schedule either for, I'm away next week, but I'm back after the 10th. I'm back in town, and we must definitely get together for that. Okay.
Yeah, if you guys are around on the 8th of November, come through to Tenterfield. We've got our Youth Aviation Network event taking place, and doing a NAV event with kids, and then taking them on a NAV exercise flight. And then on the 6th of December, we're doing a similar type of thing, a camp over at Brakpan Airfield.
Please send me, I know you have already, but if you can send me the information on both of those events, I want to add them to our little Aviation Wealth Club calendar here. Okay.
100%. I'll do so. Thank you.
Super. All right, everybody. Let's go out and make some money today.
Lucky. Enjoy. Cheers.
Let's go help some people. Ciao, ciao.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers, Eugene.